Hi there, it's Sarah here from Mydoma Studio, and today I'm being joined by Ashley Uhl. Hey Ashley, how are you?
I'm great, Sarah. How are you?
Good.
Good.
And today we're talking all about client feedback. So
Yeah.
it's 1 o'clock. You guys know the drill. We're just going to give everybody a couple minutes to settle in. And then we're going to dive into this super exciting topic. These are near and dear to my heart. I love doing these discussions.
Mm-hmm.
So Ashley and I, as we letting people roll in here, we met in person the first time at Luann Live back in March.
Yeah.
So we've worked together for a bit the last couple months, but it was nice to get to spend some time together.
Yes.
Face to a name. And for those of you who's just joining us, Ashley and I have done a webinar before. A couple months ago now.
Yeah, I think it was in like mid-February, late February.
Yeah, just before Luann Live. That's right.
Right. Yeah.
And we got such great feedback. You guys all love the topic so much. And then we went to Luann Live, and Ashley and I got to spend some more time together. And we're just so in sync with the things that we think are most important on client expectations and communication. We said, we should do another one.
Yes.
So I hope everybody's excited for today's topic, because I think it's going to be just fantastic. The flow is going to be presentation from Ashley, and I'm going to be asking her some questions. We'll chit-chat a bit. And then for anybody who has questions, please use that Q&A box, because we want to hear from you, and then I can ask your questions to Ashley. And while we wait for everybody to come in, we're doing pretty good right now. People are filling in pretty fast. You can use that chat box in the bottom if you want to say hello, let us know where you're from. Usually the topic of weather comes up, and I complain about it, so starting to live life on repeat. What's the weather like there, Ashley?
Finally, it's a nice day. It's actually been nice all this week, but Mother's Day was actually just like the worst weather, which was super disappointing. I feel like Mother's Day has to be beautiful every year, right, to give us a break, but it was like 45 degrees, cold, gloomy, rainy, and then we went to the botanical gardens, and I was like, I don't even want to walk around. I'm freezing. So, yeah. But today it's like 80 and sunny.
Oh. Then I'll live vicariously through you, because whatever it is in Fahrenheit, it's cold. It is yucky out there. When Ashley and I were off camera, I had said, or off broadcasting, I said I ate too much pasta for lunch. And so I went for a walk and then immediately regretted it, because the walk is cold. It felt good, but it was a cold walk. My jacket's still on. Calgary, I see Kat. She's saying it's cold. Kat, it might be 10 Celsius here. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit offhand.
I know. I'm not very good at it either. Unless it's like, I know the hotter end than the colder end from traveling. But
we got Rhonda Chen from California saying hello, and Rena in Vancouver, and Katie from Texas. And Drew's with her. Minneapolis is gorgeous. You don't hear that very often. Yay!
Minneapolis in the summertime. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Actually, that's where my husband was.
Oh, maybe I'm getting Minneapolis. We used to live close to Minneapolis.
Oh, I didn't know.
I grew up in a small town called Thunder Bay, Ontario. And,
gotcha.
And by close, I mean, I think it's like 7 hours, but nothing is close to Thunder Bay, Ontario. It's the middle of nowhere. So going to Minneapolis is a big deal.
Oh gosh.
That's nice. We got people everywhere. Oh, Atlanta, of course, is warm in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's always right.
Atlanta. See, everybody, the weather. It's always about the weather. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's be mindful. Oh, it's not raining in Vancouver. I like it. In Vancouver. Yeah. Okay, so it's 1:05.
All right.
We'll switch gears and we'll jump in.
Okay.
So thank you everybody for joining us today. Again, my name is Sarah Daniele, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Mydoma Studio. And if you're not familiar with what we do, we have project and client management software built specifically for interior designers. We are all about building tools that allow you to simplify and grow your business. So if you have more questions, you want to learn about us, you can pop over to our website, and we're happy to chat with you. And today I'm being joined by Ashley Uhl, and we're going to be talking all about client feedback. So Ashley, I'm going to just give like 2 minute or 2 sentence little quick bio on you so everybody can know how awesome you are. I know, but in case they're not familiar. So like, Ashley is super dedicated to understanding effective and impactful client service. Has been dedicated to understanding an effective and impactful client service experience her entire life. Ashley, I know that you have a psychology degree and also a minor in business, which is fantastic. Those work really well together. You have formal training and work in human relations, sales, and presentations from the top professional development company, Dale Carnegie. Mm-hmm. And Miss Ashley has been featured on many different podcasts, guys. So you can go back and check her out. So Michelle Bennett's Business Homies Radio, Kimberly Seldon's Business of Design, our favorite Luann Nigara, A Well-Designed Business, and coming up soon, she's going to be on Michelle Williams' podcast, Profit is a Choice. Mm-hmm. So if you want to learn more about her and how awesome she is, you can head over to ashleyullconsulting.com. And otherwise, you can just listen to this webinar because you're going to learn pretty quickly how great she is and all the awesome stuff she has to say.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So I'll let you take over. You're going to run with your presentation. And don't forget to use the Q&A, guys, if you have questions.
All right. So can you see my screen yet?
Nope, not yet.
Okay, let me.
Oh, I can't. Oh, I can. Oh, I think it's just delayed for me.
All right.
There we go.
You got it now?
Oh, yes.
All right. So like we talked about, we're going to talk about how to not only ask for client feedback, but how to effectively ask for client feedback, because there's a lot of different ways to do it, and some of them aren't as effective as others. So we're going to get into all of that. Okay, so first, why is feedback necessary? Well, it really does give you the honest truth about what it's like to work with you, which is so important, because you don't know what you don't know, right? Especially from that client perspective, both in a good way and a bad way. Clients can really share so much insight about, first of all, what you do well. And you can really capture that, especially, if you're getting people in person, you can start writing down notes on what they think that you do really well. And then you can start scribbling that down and asking them, hey, can I use this in my marketing? Can I share this? And it doesn't always have to be just in the form of a testimonial, which of course you can do that as well. But these sort of keywords or buzzwords that they might be using, you can start saying, hey, our clients say that we do this, this, and this really well. And then it's going to relate to your other potential clients, and really bring them in and really get them interested in a way that just normal kind of copywriting might not be able to. You're really reaching into what they're thinking and what they're worried about or interested in because it came from another client. So that's first of all what you can get from great feedback. Now, it also can give you a lot of feedback on what can be improved. So clients are always going to think of things and see things differently than, of course, how you're thinking of them. You are creating a process that works for you, and it should work for you, but it also does need to work for the client. And they're going to see things like, oh, maybe I needed to be prepared for this step further. I needed to understand more about what the challenges of this phase were, whatever, even if it's you need to be creating new documents. They can really give you feedback on these little notes, these little ways to prevent future problems with other clients. And they can see that in a way that it's so difficult for us to see them as a business owner. I do this all the time with my own clients. I always end my work with a survey, and I really want to know from their end, what could I do that was, easier? What could make this, what could help prepare them? What could they get better expectations? All of these things, you want to really know from their perspective and then be able to put that into your process so you're preventing that for the next client. So the next thing is to also, you want to be able to ask these questions so you can possibly raise your profitability by asking them what services they wish that you offered. Clients can have these ideas where you want to basically get them to finish this sentence, I wish she would blank, right? So if you know what that the end of that sentence is, then you can start offering that as a service. It can be an extra a la carte service. It doesn't have to be just something that you're going to be doing free, an extra for each client. It can be something that you're charging that, when I was getting married, I've talked about this before in a blog post where my floral designer, she was super organized. I really liked her. And she had just given me a sheet of a la carte services. I didn't think anything of it. You're already paying so much for a wedding, just like you are in interior design. But I wish that she had really pointed out to me that I should get everything prepared so I could see the bouquets beforehand. Right. And so she did it. And I was actually extremely disappointed the day of. I really, really wish that she had pointed that out to me. So sometimes by knowing the extra services that clients can pay for, they can actually be happier. So you want to make sure that you're asking clients, what services do you wish that we offered? And then you can, just charge for them and have it be a simple upcharge, even if it's you're getting ready for the reveal and they don't want to deal with like donating all of their furniture, getting rid of it, all of that stuff. If you want to add that as an a la carte service to handle all of that, charities, consignment stores, all of that stuff, that can be something that you add, especially for a higher end client. And then, you charge $2,000 extra for that day of work.
I love that. That is actually something I hadn't thought of before. That's pretty cool because the client's going to tell you.
Exactly.
They'll tell you if you ask them.
Exactly. Yes.
Ask them, right. They're not going to tell you. They're going to go tell their friends.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. And so this is getting this out of their mind and into your lap so you can take it and run with it. Because you are usually thinking when you're working with somebody, you think to yourself, oftentimes, I wish they would, whatever it is, right? So you need to pull that out of them and find out what is the end of that sentence. And then just charge them for it. So, and then the last one is it's much easier to handle less than positive feedback if you ask for it, because if you don't ask, then you don't know, and then they share it with other people. So, if you're doing this in person, if you ask, something negative and you're asking for constructive criticism and they let you know, then it's so much easier to just take care of it in that moment. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I know that we didn't handle that well and we're going to work very hard. I know that we did resolve it for you in the end, but it's not something that should have happened in the first place. So thank you for sharing that with me again. It's much easier to handle it that way than it just festers because you never asked.
And I'm sure the delivery, right? So we say it a lot at the company here. We'd like to know, what's your feedback? What's your feedback? Like over and over again. And some of it is constructive and some of it's not. But when we ask the delivery of it, I'm like, okay, I have asked for this information. Now I can be upset by it or I can use it to improve, right? Versus like if I don't ask and then you get a negative review or feedback that like it just comes in and you haven't asked for it, you're probably going to be less willing to improve or to see that it could be constructive, right? So I think asking for it it's where you're saying like, look, you want to improve and everybody can improve.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no shame in it. And I think a lot of times it's like, you do feel like, oh, if I find out, then it's like I'm unraveling all of these things like of me being a really good business owner, being a really good designer, all of that stuff. I don't want to put myself in that light. And it's the opposite. You're making yourself seem and look like so much more of a professional because you're willing to take that and you're literally asking for it. I'm continually dedicated to improvement. So I'm asking for you to share this information with me. It's so much more professional than going, la, 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 I'm not listening, right?
Thanks for that email. I'm not going to, that's not good.
Exactly. And most clients aren't going to share this information. They're going to be clients who are going to share more information than you want. And you always have to take that with a grain of salt, but you do want to consider it as well, because there may be some truth to it. But then there are going to be probably 90% of your clients who aren't going to say anything, but they do still have thoughts in their head, right? And those are the clients that you really need to draw it out of them. And those are the clients you really want, because these are the clients you want to be having over and over again.
That's right.
Yeah, but you do have to, you have to draw it out. You have to ask for it. All right. Let's see. It's not, there we go. All right. So like we already started to talk about, the way you ask for feedback is crucial. So first of all, you don't want to ask for a 5-star rating, as it seems insincere. This happens all the time, and it is definitely a pet peeve of mine, especially because of what I do. It will be this. Please let me know anything that I can do right now to make you happy, because my manager needs me to get a 5-star rating, and we're going to send you a survey. So please let me know now. Okay. And it just becomes this very awkward exchange of, I'm not going to tell you just so that you feel better now so that you can get a 5-star rating. And it just becomes this very insincere exchange, and you don't really know where to go with it, right?
The typical car dealer.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't buy a car every day, but I feel like the last 2 times we bought cars and they were years apart, the same thing happened.
Yes.
Here's the survey. Do it right now. I need 5 stars, da, da, da. It's going to affect. I'm like,
exactly.
Well, maybe you don't get the 5 stars. And now you're asking, now I'm uncomfortable. Like,
exactly. Right. It's so weird. And you definitely don't want to do that. You don't want to put anybody in that position, because you don't want just 5 stars. You want honesty, right? The good and the bad is what you want. You don't just want 5 stars for the sake of it, because you're never going to get to the real issue. So yeah, we don't want to, like, if you're asking for a Google review, you don't want to be asking for, please only fill this out if you're going to give me a 5-star review. If you want somebody to give you a Google review, you should be aware already of how this client is feeling about you. Right. And then they will just naturally give you 5 stars, but you don't want to ask for that, because it does become very odd. And it is a huge pet peeve of mine. All right. And now you definitely sharing that you genuinely want to know any way to improve is so important, because nice clients are going to be hesitant to share because they like you and they don't want to hurt your feelings. But if you let them know, I genuinely want to know, I need to know this information so that I continually improve myself as a business owner, as a designer, then they are more likely to tell you once they really get, okay, she's not just asking for fluff. She wants to know information. She wants to know real information. Then they're more likely to open up. And also you want to tell them how their feedback turns into action. So a lot of times when you send out a survey, especially for like a big corporation, you don't take the time because it's like voting sometimes where you're like, well, what difference does it make? I'm one person, so I'm not going to spend my time doing that. But you can tell them even examples of how you've made change in the past from other clients. Another client, you don't want to share the client's name, but another client told me that, I needed to possibly create a what to expect document for a few different phases. And so I've implemented that. So if you have any ideas or feedback on other ways that I can improve, I would really appreciate that, because we really do turn this into action. They don't want to just think that they're filling out a survey or giving you information that's literally just going to go right out the door. Nobody wants to waste their time.
Which, I mean, and I don't want to make this all about us, but I think it's good so the other designers can see how we turn those into action. So there are many of you just looking at who are sitting here live right now, who know our product quite well, and you are a Mydoma designer. You've heard us ask for your feedback over and over and over again. And then we tend to follow up with a webinar, a posting, an email, an aggregate dump of all the different stuff that we've done that have come directly from your feedback. Mm-hmm. So we allow you to know that, like, it's not just going into a black hole. And I think that's exactly what Ashley's trying to say, is yours is going to be on a smaller scale because you don't have like thousands of designers or like clients, but it's different, right? But it's still impactful, and letting them know that, hey, giving me this allows me to turn it into this action makes people want to help. So we hear from you all the time. People, if you genuinely want the feedback, people will give it to you.
Right. So, right. Yeah. If you show that, like you said, you're genuinely wanting it and using it, then yes, they want to help you. They like you, so they want to help your business in any way they can. So, yeah. And so you want to ask at least once at the end as you are wrapping up the project, but also asking mid-project is a great way to improve things with the client right then and get their also emotions sometimes when they're most intense. Sometimes once we have the reveal, then it can be you're a bit starry-eyed for that time, right? And you're like, oh, that was kind of terrible, but now it's pretty and I feel better, right? And you kind of almost forget some of the things that happened in the middle. So sometimes asking even 1 or 2 questions in the middle of the project can help you find out, okay, this is when they're most intense. What can we do right now to improve the situation with you? And they might be willing to give you some information that you can do a quick turnaround right at that moment and start to fix things then, rather than waiting till the end and then you don't get the right feedback and you didn't also have a chance to fix things right in that moment. All right, so we're gonna move on.
And don't be shy if you guys want to put some questions in the QA now. You can. If you want to wait till the end, that's fine too. I'm keeping an eye on it, just so you all know.
All right. So also, you want to ask the questions in person first, but you also have to be aware that it may not always be the whole truth, right? So it's this balance of, it's good to ask in person, but there are going to be some people who just don't want to share that feedback because they do like you, right? And so if you don't get a lot of feedback, or you prefer not to ask in person, or you're doing e-design, you can follow it up with an anonymous survey sent by a third party like SurveyMonkey, or you could even have your assistant do it to give a little bit of distance, right, between you and the client, just so that they do feel more comfortable. They don't want to hurt your feelings, right, even if it's helpful. So sometimes it is just an awareness of, if you're getting just a lot of really nice answers and they don't think anything needs to be changed, you might just want to say, oh, thank you so much. We're also going to just send you a quick survey. If you don't mind filling it out, it'll just take another minute. But if you don't have time, that's okay too. We got some great information. So it's just kind of a deciding what you're comfortable with and how much information you're successfully getting from clients. And then you can send a survey through SurveyMonkey.
And a little tip that you could do, because I like your comment here about you could have your assistant do it. So if not everybody has an assistant, and you are some solos here, you could create like an alias email, like info@something awesomedesign.com. And what happens is, so you write the email, like, thank you, we're so appreciative of your business, blah, 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 like something more personal and better than that. If you kindly send some feedback, fill out this survey, we'd love your feedback, right? Sincerely, the Awesome Design team at Awesome Company.
That's a good idea.
Then it feels like it, and it's just an alias. What happens, it's actually being sent from your primary email. And you guys can do all this. It's actually pretty easy to do with Gmail and some other email providers. So it makes you look bigger than you are. And then they may feel more inclined to give that feedback, knowing that they think you're not the one reading the emails and seeing them or sending it. So
Right. It's sad, but yeah, sometimes you kind of have to trick people into giving you the information you need just because they don't want to hurt your feelings, right? And also you have to kind of promise to not have your feelings hurt, right? You have to be responsible for that as well, because if you're going to ask for it, you do have to be ready to read it and go, okay, I'm not going to get offended by this. This is genuine information that can help me. And I asked for this, right? This isn't just unsolicited meanness. This is constructive criticism.
It is not, you heard it first, guys. Not unsolicited meanness is constructive criticism. Write that on your mirror.
That we asked for, right?
Yeah. I like that.
Oh, gosh. Okay. And definitely limit the number of questions you ask. In person, I would limit it to probably 5. And if you're sending it in a survey, you really don't want to do more than 10. Yesterday, Hallmark, and I love the Hallmark channel. I'm all about it. They sent me a survey, and it said it was going to take 5 minutes. And I thought, oh my gosh, not really. Okay, I like Hallmark. I keep going. And then I kept waiting for it to end, and it kept not ending. And I was like, am I just going to stop? But I got so far. And then, so people will abandon things if it's too long. So limit it and tell people at the beginning, there's only 10 questions. It should only take you a minute or 2. Then they are fully aware of what's happening, rather than getting into this never ending loop. And then they just click out of it halfway through, which isn't good for anybody. They've wasted your time and their time then. All right. So now what questions do you need to ask? So questions, like we said, need to be phrased in a way that basically gives the client permission to provide this constructive criticism. You don't want to set them up for a nice answer. So, if you go to a restaurant, a lot of times they'll say something like, "Oh, how is everything?" Or, "Are you enjoying everything?" Well, 9 times out of 10, any normal person will just say, "It's great," right? And then they walk away and you're like, other than the fact that this is cold and there was a hair in it and this and that and this and that, right? You're not going to just because now you're countering what they're asking for. So you don't want to set your clients up for a nice answer. So these are the questions that you do want to ask. First, what made you hire our firm? So if you can find that out, this is the kind of stuff that you can put in your marketing and use it over and over and over again. And then clients really get, or rather prospects, will get why people are hiring you and why they should hire you. These are huge reasons to understand. Then also you can, find out what sort of ads should we be creating, what sort of copy, all of that stuff you can be finding out from this simple question, what made you hire our firm? You find out what makes you competitive. All of that can come from this very simple question. Next, what could have made this experience easier for you? So this is one of those questions where you are asking for that constructive criticism. And basically, making things easy is kind of the gold standard of client experience. So some of the luxury services and the personalized services I love, and I know a lot of other people love, but they actually don't make as much of an impact if the experience isn't easy. The greatest thing for you to do for your clients is make things easy. So if you can find out what could make this experience easier for you, whether it's, you need to update them more consistently every Friday morning, or they need more information and they're updating, or they needed to be called about the installation rather than just a quick email, whatever it is that you can do to find out what's easy, you can start putting that into your process, preventing future irritations, future frustrations, and then you can definitely start to upcharge. As really easy is the gold standard of where the profitable client experience can come in.
Yeah, I love that. You can also phrase, not saying change these questions, I think they're excellent, but using something like, how important is X to you, right?
Yeah.
So I think that type of question is used. So we've learned that through many different types of surveys that we've done over the years, because you make assumptions, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And that's normal. We're going to assume the client wants X. But if you all of a sudden ask them, how important is it that we meet in person after every time we need to make a decision?
Right.
I don't know. There's different things that you guys are going to do, because then that will also affect your process, because you might be doing something that could be time consuming and you could think is extremely important to the client or the project.
Yes.
Not be.
Absolutely.
By phrasing it that way, how important, get them to.
Yes.
Say, oh, I don't care about that. And you're like, what? Right. Here I am spending, I don't care about a mood board. They're like, I don't even know what that is.
Right.
Right. There are things that you spend a lot of time on that might, I'm not suggesting that necessarily. I think you should ask to your clients, but right, there are things we think are important. So
yes, I think that's an absolutely great point. Yeah. And like you said, especially for those things that we're spending a lot of time on, and like you said, making assumptions that this is very important to them. And then you realize, oh, whoa, this is a huge time suck, and they don't even care, right? And it could even be something that they don't like. And then you find out, oh my gosh, no one likes this. Okay, let's cut this out, right? So absolutely, finding out what's most important to people, so important. All right, now, what services do you wish we offered? So this is that question that we were talking about before, where you're filling in that blank to find out what else you could have done, and then, even be able to charge for it, do these a la carte services. And then they don't necessarily always have to be charged for, they don't have to be a la carte, but they can be, or maybe it's something small that they wish that you had done, and you can just add that in to really, make that client experience a higher level.
Yeah, love that, right? You can add it in and then you can just increase. You're justifying a price increase, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, which also works.
Absolutely. All right. And next, what was different about this process than you expected? So I always say the difference between expectation and reality is often the biggest source of conflict and frustration, not just with clients, but just kind of in life, right?
I was gonna say everything boils
Right.
down to that question.
Right. Right. And so it's very, very important for you to find out what were they expecting coming in, and sometimes even how did they get to these expectations. Now you may have not even been involved in it, right? It could be from them watching too much HGTV, and then you realize that this is forming people's expectations. And so this may be a conversation that you have like in the initial consultation or even in a screening call, whatever it is that's different than what they expected. You really want to find that out, because you can really start to minimize those frustrations, those conflicts. If it's just that I really didn't know that it was going to be so long between when we put down a 50, 75% deposit, whatever it is, and then when the actual installation was, I didn't realize that it was going to be so long, right? Because maybe we kind of undersold it a little bit and it was, oh, well, it'll probably be here in 8 to 10 weeks, knowing that it's more like 12 to 14, but we don't want to, right? It's better to find all of you want to set the right expectations, but you also want to do this, right? What was different about this process than you expected? So definitely make sure to ask clients that. Okay.
It remind me of an experience that I had looking at question E. So when I was doing design full time, I did, in my opinion, some pretty awesome 3Ds. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I loved doing them. I was fast at them, and that was like my selling point.
Yeah.
And I was presenting to a client and they were outwardly disappointed. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, what? Why is this happening? Right. And later I find out it wasn't the design. It's because they were expecting an animated version, like from Property Brothers. Like,
oh,
like, here we go, right? Because I had outlined, here's my time, this is the flow, la la la. This is the type of service I'm going to offer. At this point, you're going to receive like a 3D rendering and different views, but I didn't specify that it wasn't going to be animated. And so it wasn't the design.
right.
Wanted that. I'm like, okay, well now I know. So I was like, oh, like again. Yeah. So
right.
if you ask them, then you can find out. It's like, oh.
Yes. And then you can prevent that. And like I said, sometimes there are expectations that are formed that have nothing to do with you, right? These are Property Brothers expectations that they're carrying over to you, and you have no knowledge of them.
In, and I'm like, no.
Oh gosh. Well, I'm glad that you had the forethought to ask them. And then
and you know what? It's only because I was harboring it. Like I was taking right? And so I was like, I just need to ask. And because at the time I wasn't doing this in a very formalized way.
Gotcha.
I was suggesting everybody do. So it was only out of, I'm like, what? I nailed this project. I don't understand. Why did this part go so poorly?
Oh gosh. And it's something so simple, right? Like animating the 3D rendering. Who cares?
Yeah. Like, what? That's the piece we're spending. I don't remember, $80,000 on the project, and that's what we're focusing on right now. Is this animation?
Oh gosh. Right. So sometimes it is the small thing. So you got to ask, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what could I have done to better prepare you for the project? So this is also something that the more you prepare your clients, the less conflict and frustration that the client is going to have, whether they share that with you or not throughout the project. You really need to know what else needs to be done so that they feel more prepared, more aware of what's going on with money, with time, with trades, all of that stuff. Really knowing how you could better prepare them is a huge ask, and will give you just a mountain of information.
Yeah, I love that one, because us in process over here, creating a repeatable process and scaling. And all those fun buzzwords, but that is incredibly important because once you know how you can better prepare, then that directly affects the process in which you do with your client.
Right.
The more prepared you are up front and the more prepared they are, the whole thing's going to go smoother.
Right. Absolutely. Yes. So when I worked at, and I don't think we talked about this at the beginning, I used to work at Morgan Stanley, right? A wealth management firm. And you better prepare your clients for the stock market to crash at some point, right? And if you aren't, then you are going to have some very mad clients. And so knowing what you could do to better prepare them for what was going to be inevitably up and down and up and down and up and down, right? You really needed to know whatever you could do. So absolutely, the more that you can do to prepare, and like you said, now it can become something that you can create and become a repeatable process. You really only have to create things once, or kind of, write out a script of what else you want to add. Do this once, and then you just do it over and over again. And then everyone is happier as a result. All right. And then what other projects are you planning on tackling someday? So if that project has gone well with your client, not that there aren't going to be any setbacks or any challenges, but overall, if it's gone well, you can just ask, what other projects are you planning on tackling someday? Because they may not necessarily be thinking about it, but they may. And they may think that you don't want to start on another project with them, right? They think, oh my gosh, this took so long. She doesn't want to start something else with us, so maybe we should wait or whatever. So just opening up that conversation just allows you to find out if they do have any other plans. Maybe they have a second home, whatever it is, or maybe their child has just bought a house and they're going to help them with that project, whatever it may be. Just simply asking. If someone enjoys working with you, they're going to want to work with you again and again, as long as it's in the budget at some point. So just ask, be bold enough to ask, as long as it's gone well, and they'll open up and let you know.
Yeah. Because imagine even they're going to say things like, oh, we'd love to do the kitchen, blah, blah, blah. Cannot wait. But it's probably your way. You're like, great, make a little note of that.
Exactly.
Stay in touch because they're thinking about this, right? Stay
right.
top of mind.
Yeah, you can send out a little card in the holidays or whatever, or a just because card, whatever it is, an email to just keep you top of mind. And then, check in with them maybe a month or so before they were saying. If it was a year, at the 11-month mark, you can say, hey, I know that you were interested in working on the kitchen. Are you still interested in that? Should we set up a meeting to talk about that? Yeah. You want to be responsible for remembering, not them, right? Because then you can stay in control of everything.
I love it.
All right. So is feedback and a review the same thing? So I wanted to cover this briefly. Getting feedback and getting a review are very different, right? So feedback is about learning what you can do better next time, or even that you've just done a really great job, and it stays internal. Of course, you're not going to be sharing the feedback that the clients give you unless it's, like I said, those little words that they give you, buzzwords, and you can use that in your copy. But most feedback just stays internal. Whereas a review or testimonial is your client knowingly providing you with a quote about how awesome you are that will be shared with the public. So just wanted to kind of set those straight, but both reviews and feedback are crucial to your business's success. Feedback can give you the good and the bad. And of course, the reviews are something that you can use over and over again. You have a picture in each project, and then right under the picture or even over the picture, you have the testimonial on your website so people can see both automatically. Wow, that's gorgeous. And the testimonial of that client loving you, that makes a big impact right out of the gate. All right. And we're really done if we have any questions.
All right, everybody. Come on, bring on your questions because I know they're there.
And should we talk about this in the meantime, or should we wait?
Well, we can start talking about, let's talk about what you're putting together for everybody, which I think is fantastic. And maybe you can actually click on I'll let you talk about it, then click on the link and then throw in some questions in there. And so if you have some stuff, if you want to know more specific about more on the questions to ask and how to ask, when to ask, any of that. I mean, you're so thorough. This is the thing. Like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, this is a lot to take in a really great way. Like Okay, I'll let you go.
All right. So yes, for the next 48 hours, there is a download on my site that we'll go to in a minute that is free for the next 48 hours. It's usually $19.95 of Make Every Client Love You. So it is a guide giving you the exact wording that you can use to ask clients for a testimonial through your email. Also a fill in the blank template so you can adapt that wording to your style. Then the exact wording for an online survey intro so that you can dramatically increase your participation. Some of those things, like I said, telling them the time, telling them how many questions, all of that stuff is in there and gives you the exact wording that you can write to get that participation. And then the exact wording on what to say in your thank you notes and the most impactful time to send them. And it's not just at the reveal. It's a more surprising time. And a also fill in the blank template so that you can adapt the thank you to your style. So I wanted to give everyone something that is just, you see how it can be written out, a thank you note, what that testimonial sounds like in words, and then also the template behind it so that you can really kind of get the gist of what I'm trying to say for each one of those. So now we can go ahead and view it. All right. Are you still seeing my screen?
Yep.
All right. So here it is. This is the Make Every Client Love You. And yeah, so it's $0 for now for the next 48 hours. And
I will send out a recording of this and the follow-up email, and we'll make sure to include that link in there as well. And you know what, while you're doing that, I will put the link in the chat.
Great. And so these are just some of the teaser images of what you will be getting inside of the guide.
Perfect. I love it. Like I was looking at it. I want to know, I think I'm going to go download it. I want to know when to send the thank you card.
You should.
I might need to. I might go and do that. You might just.
Yeah, and thank you cards can be tough, you know, and it can be awkward, and sometimes people just don't know what to say, and then they just don't send them. And so definitely just finding out the words that you can say and the order that you can say makes it so much easier and so much more likely for you to go ahead with it. And they do really make a big impression. As I have talked to, I think it was on Luann's podcast, we were talking about time is a luxury, right? Giving somebody your time, especially now, is such a luxury. So doing things that are handwritten really do stand out. Even the birthday cards, I know sometimes people want to send like e-birthday cards or an e-vite. The more that you can do things by hand, the better, as people really do.
Well, everybody's downloading your thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's good. Go get it, guys.
Like, yeah, I'm seeing the little pop-ups.
We could just start announcing everybody. And we have a couple questions that are coming in. Well, that's a big boost. So Drew is asking, so I'm curious how to handle the question about future projects. I'm needing my services to Airbnb hosts for their guest spaces, but if a client wants to get help with something outside of that niche, but I could be willing to do it because money is money after all. How do you recommend I handle that?
Gotcha. So she wants to know how to handle the question, or he wants to know how to handle the question, like them asking or the client saying, I want help?
The client wants to get help. I think it's about him asking the client.
Okay.
Drew, just feel free to like type another question if we're not understanding your question properly.
Yes.
Okay, I'll let you go. And then Drew, just chime in if there's more here that we're missing.
Yeah. So you would just want to simply state, do you have any other vacation homes projects that you would like help on, right? So then if that's specifically the area that you want to be only focusing on, then you can just fill in that blank with, do you have any other whatever sort of project? If it's, right, you know, if you just do kitchens, maybe they know somebody else with a kitchen. You just want to fill in those words, basically give the adjective to the word projects, and you can just adapt it easily that way.
That's awesome. Drew, I think that's good. If you want, Drew, just send us another question if you need a little bit more information on it. Okay.
Yeah, more clarification.
More clarification. That's the word. More information. Okay, Rhonda Chen is asking, how do you recommend asking past clients for feedback after a year or two of doing their project? Great question.
Gotcha. Okay. So that can be tough because we don't have great memories. and that's simply that. Right? So you do want to be doing this pretty soon after. So I would recommend, you have this sort of meeting about 3 weeks or so after you finish the project. That's what you want. That's ideal, is just to give them a little bit of time, but it's still fresh in their mind. So if you're going to do this a year or two, and maybe you just realize, maybe I made some mistakes and I need to get some feedback, then I would just say that we're working very hard on improving our business. Over the last year or two, we have really been working hard on this. And although that your project was a while ago, we would still appreciate any feedback that you have to share with us, and just simply state it that way. Stating and basically admitting that that there may have been some challenges and you would love to improve can be a huge help. It's tough and it's hard to admit that. And I think we may have even talked about this maybe in the last webinar. It shows that apparently I love Domino's. Domino's did this. Did we talk about this in the last one, Sarah, the Domino's thing?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So I actually like Domino's a lot, and a lot of the things that they do. So it was like 3 years ago. I don't know, maybe it was farther back than that, where they came out and had all these commercials about, for a while weren't doing things very well, but we have revamped everything and we are sorry and we want you to give us a chance, right? And so sometimes just admitting that you struggled a little bit and you had some setbacks and challenges, but you are very dedicated, you're working hard to improve, then just letting them know. And so we would appreciate your feedback, any memories that you have, whatever. You can just kind of go through it like that.
That's perfect.
But it's okay to admit that you made mistakes.
I think I like to try to admit when I make mistakes.
Yes,
I don't know.
absolutely.
I think that it's self-learning. We're all human.
Yes, absolutely.
And be more honest.
Softens people, even if you make a mistake, right?
Yeah. Okay, we have a question from Kat Hackman. She says, is SurveyMonkey the best to use for written feedback, in your opinion?
Yeah, so SurveyMonkey is what I use, but you can also use Google Forms. It really is just, kind of dependent on what you want it to look like. I like SurveyMonkey because it just has that sort of feel to it, a sort of a little bit more of a businessy feel to it, whereas Google Forms, you can't, I feel like, always convey as much of a professional look to it. And it can be used as a variety of different things. Whereas if you're getting something from SurveyMonkey, you know what the purpose is, right? Right out of the gate. Mm-hmm. This is from SurveyMonkey. This is a survey. And so also makes that like more distant, anonymous feel to it because it's going to SurveyMonkey rather than going to a Google Forms, where it's like, this email is submitted a form, right? And then you're getting all of that, versus SurveyMonkey, it's totally anonymous.
We can stop sharing screens if you want. So, I mean, it's amazing that everybody, you can keep it. I mean, it's great because then everybody's down.
Didn't even think about that.
I'm listening and I'm like watching a ding, ding, ding. Like, that's good. Take the download. It's good. Like, that's right.
I didn't even think to take that off. I apologize.
No, it's fine. I'm more like, I'm watching my eyes. I'm like, are people thinking I'm not paying attention? Because I'm like, it's like, I get distracted like a cat. Okay, Drew did a quick little follow-up. He said,
okay.
A client responds to question about non-vacation space, and I'm wondering what she recommends. What you recommend. If they say they want to do maybe their own personal space that wouldn't be normally inside my niche, how would I handle it after getting their response?
How would he handle
that? So if he says, hey, what other vacation rentals are you working on, or would you do projects in the future? And they respond with non-vacation rental spaces. He's wondering, how do I tackle that if it's not in my niche? Gotcha. But I'm assuming it's a project you want to take, Drew, right? Like,
Okay, so he wants it, but
I would assume that. If it's not,
okay.
please let us know. Drew says yes, he wants to take it. So, so
Okay.
it's not in his niche. How do I take that?
Okay, yeah. I mean, then that you just kind of, first of all, I would just make that decision beforehand, right? Like, are you going to do vacation homes and kind of people's homes other than just their vacation home? So making sure that you're okay with that being part of your business. But if they say, then I would also love to work, I would love for you to work on my home as well, then you just say, okay, absolutely, that would be wonderful. And then you just talk to them about how that structure might be different, if it is different at all. Maybe you're going to do more customized things and all of that stuff, so that the process may be longer. As with the vacation home, you may not be putting all of that much money into customization and the high-end products and all of that. So you just give a brief description on, okay, wonderful, it's different a little bit than this process because we do this, this, and this, but I would love to work with you on your own home as well.
Yeah, and I think, Drew, as long as you feel you've got the skills to do it and it's something you want to do, I can count quite a few times that projects actually came in that, I probably could have done, but I didn't do because they were out of my niche. They were out of what I wanted to be doing. Yes, I was like, oh, this is money for my business, but you know what, I can just pass this on to someone else because I know good karma will come back. So I think it's really knowing what services are in your wheelhouse, and if a project does come up, do you take it, yes or no? Right. So perfect example is someone would ask me, I'm building a cottage. That was it. From scratch. Out here, I need to do everything. And I said, well, I wanted it. I was like, oh, I want this project. I'm like, but I don't know my BCIN number here in Ontario. I couldn't actually do a good portion of the work. So I just had to say, I have some great people. I love this project. Here's how I can be beneficial to you at this stage of the project, right? I suggest you work with this architectural technologist and you develop the plan, blah, blah, blah. I'm happy to help with the conceptual work. And then, when you get it through to permit, call me in and we'll do the kitchen, we'll do the bathroom, and we'll start specifying the finishes where I do my work best. Knowing that limitation where I wanted that project, but I'm like, I'm not the right person. Right. So I think knowing that is also.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why making these decisions kind of beforehand as much as you can, because otherwise you can get into a situation where you just kind of, it's like this gut thing. Okay. Right.
Yeah. Take it. Right. And then it can actually hurt your business too.
Exactly. And then you're kind of backpedaling going, what do I do? I don't know how to do this and whatever. And like you said, I love it when people refer to each other because it really is just, it's good business. You're seen as trustworthy because you are trustworthy. You're saying, I'm not best for this, but I would love to refer you to this person. That person is then, of course, going to refer back to you as well. It just creates this sort of great back and forth relationship. It's good for the client. It is good for everybody. Mm-hmm. So absolutely have some referrals in your back pocket so that you can, when it's not in your best interest and your best skills, you can move somebody to someplace else. And it really is just a win-win all around.
I was typing an answer back to someone. What was I going to say? And it's gone. Oh, what would you say? A last question here, and then I think we should probably wrap up. What of the up to 10 questions you had recommended, what do you think if you had to choose?
Yeah. What
would be your top two? I'm not going to say one. I'm going to say, what are the top two? Like if I'm in person and I'm not sending this in writing, I don't want to do SurveyMonkey. I don't want to do that. I just, face-to-face this guy. What are the top two I'm going to ask?
Okay. So I would say, what was different about this process than you expected, right? And what could we have done to better prepare you? Finding out those two questions can really change your business, basically, and change that entire process, because now you know this sort of crucial information that's causing probably a lot of frustration, a lot of conflict, and a lot of just bad vibes basically on both ends, right? From both your perspective and the client's perspective, you're going to feel that much more comfortable, that much more confident going into this because you are aware of what the client needs to know, what they need to expect, what they are probably already expecting from you, what sort of HGTV expectations that they're having, and you can address all of that. So yes, finding out what's different than what you expected, and then And now I totally forgot the other one. Oh, what could we have done to better prepare you? I would say those are the top two most important.
Okay, that's awesome. And I just want to build on that based on what Ashley had said, remember that if you are just starting out, it's still valid to ask these questions.
Yes.
Like even if these are your first clients, it's okay to ask. They don't need to know they're your first clients. Because
right.
If you don't have these tensions that Ashley's speaking about and that I have felt, and probably most of the people on this webinar have felt, you will at some point. It's inevitable. There'll be something. And so you might, hey, if you could start your first project and ask for feedback right away,
yes, you
are going to avoid later problems that will come up just due to, not knowing what these frustrations were about your client.
Yes. So. And you can really set yourself apart. Like when I have someone come to me and like a company will come back and say, how was this? It really does impress me when they come back a day or two or whatever. It's like they really want to know. And I will share information and just say, oh, this or whatever wasn't as great. And then they say, thank you. And then I think, wow, this company really does care. So it really does set you apart. And if you're doing this from the beginning, people are going to be very impressed that you're that dedicated to really improving the situation and the client experience for them.
Okay, last story. I wasn't going to, but because you drew it in, because this one was so good yesterday. Yeah. So I'm going to assume that most people here have had a terrible experience with delivery at least one time in their life.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday, I'm having a pellet stove, not installed, delivered to my house, okay? Mm-hmm. So it's basically like a wood stove thing. And so the experience was the best, hands down, experience I've ever had. And it started like this. I received a text message saying, it was from Costco. Thank you for your purchase. At first I thought it was a bot. And then it got more human, the text messaging. I was like, oh, this is a person, at least, or a very real bot. But I was like, that's okay. If you're that real, I'm all right with this.
Yeah.
So, what day would you like? We'll be in your area between Tuesday and Friday. I said, okay, I would like Wednesday, please. Okay. Sarah, we've scheduled you for Wednesday. Here's a link to the day of on Wednesday. You can track the delivery here and you can see your driver in advance and how many stops they have and when they should be at your house. Okay, sounds good. Awesome. So I'm working, open up the map, and I'm watching this thing throughout the day and I'm timing it with daycare pickup and looking at things. I'm like, oh, they're probably going to be here in about 30 minutes. Sure enough, one stop before my house is like, now it's like, you're the next stop. I get an updated text message. We're on your way to your house. The map then updates with an ETA showing me the distance. And then within 30 seconds, I get a phone call from the driver confirming that I am home and ready to accept my delivery. I was like, no, 12 hours sitting down window from those certain places.
Right.
I'm going to mention where you wait 12 hours. Oh, we'll come between 8 and 8. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Sit here all day?
Right. Because I have nothing else to do.
Now, I worked from home yesterday, so it worked well. But nonetheless, best experience. And then, second it's all done, the survey. Yeah. What do you think? Do you think I answered that survey?
Yes. Oh, yes.
I'm one that's like, oh, do I want to do surveys? You better believe it. Yeah. I was like, 5 stars. Here's your feedback. And I wrote something. I was like, this was phenomenal. This was the best. I think I wrote, this is the best delivery service I have ever had.
That is amazing. That is amazing. And it's funny because if you think about it, sometimes I think client experience just feels like it's all just best for the client. That makes their job so much easier as well, because they don't have to constantly knock on doors and be like, nobody's here because they left because they didn't want to wait around for us anymore, right? They are empowering you and they're making sure that you know what's happening. It's not just this randomness of 2 people hoping that they meet at the same time. They're keeping you aware. And in a way, you're kind of being held responsible. You knew what was going on. So it really is, the client experience is better for everyone.
Right? So can you imagine if I'm not home or I complained? Let's say I didn't check, I didn't stay home or I didn't check that little updating, right? And I said, oh, the driver never came, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Like, well, actually, right? Because they set out the expectation.
Yes.
They started early in the morning. I saw how far away he was on the map. I'm like, he's 4 hours from my house. I'm like, okay, this is going to be later in the day. That's okay.
Right.
I can structure my day around it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got to wrap up. Otherwise,
all right.
I'll just keep talking to you and we can take all their time, but they probably should go and,
go work.
Thank you, Rhonda. Rhonda says, 2 great personalities. Excellent webinar. Always something to learn. You're very welcome, Rhonda. So as always, this webinar was recorded. You will receive an email within the next 24 hours with the recording, as well as the link to Ashley's freebie there. But it looks like I think most of you grabbed it that were here live. But for the rest of everybody who's rewatching this, remember you have 48 hours before there's a price associated with it.
That's right.
And you can visit Ashley's website if you'd like more information. Ashley, it's Ashley Uhl Consulting.
Yep, just ashleyuhlconsulting.com.
Thank you. And if you want to learn more about MyDoma Studio, you can head over to mydomastudio.com as well. Thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, everyone. It was a joy.
All right, take care.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye.